This is the book, The History and Sovereignty of South China Sea. How long did it take for you to complete this book?
A very long, laborious process from about 2011 until the end of 2018.
What made you want to do a book about the history and sovereignty of the South China Sea?
I have been trying to persuade my colleagues for years that they can go to the national archives, particularly of countries like Britain and France, who are quite open societies, and the national archives then will disclose what these governments really think. But they're not willing to do that for often very silly logistic reasons. You have to travel to the outskirts of Paris and the outskirts of London to get to these archives. And I remember one of my colleagues saying to me, well, I have to collect my children from the school at 5 o'clock. I can't possibly go to these archives. So
wow.
It's as trivial as that.
So how many hours did you spend in the...
I couldn't count them. It's a laborious process going through many years. I mean, it's 100 to 120 years of materials.
So how many archives and libraries have you gone to? In how many countries have you
Well, it's
kept
really
track of?
quite three. I have looked in the National Archive in Kew Gardens in London. There is a special archive of the French Foreign Ministry. I went to the State Department archive is in Maryland. It's quite remote from Washington. There are logistic difficulties. It means not merely going to Washington, but taking a rickety bus from outside a building in the center of Washington, and you have a rocky 1-hour drive
wow.
to a remote archive in Maryland. And then you have to hope for the best that you will find it.
In one sentence, can you summarize your key tenet?
The actual position of the governments of Britain and France in terms of their historical institutional memory is that the islands are all Chinese.
What about the United States and the Philippines?
Well, the American position until the Second World War was neutral, but after the Second World War they decided that any expansion of China back into territories conquered by Japan should not be permitted for strategic reasons.
Why is Dulles so important there?
Well, Dulles drafted the San Francisco Treaty, which left open all of the territorial questions, and he did that deliberately, and against the advice of the legal officer of the State Department. This person is Aristide Briand, who was the most prominent French foreign minister of the 20th century. But he deliberately ignored the advice of his lawyers that Shisha Islands were Chinese.
And all of these you found in the archives?
Yeah, this is all in the archive. Oh. Wellington Koo is one of the most distinguished Chinese international lawyers of the 20th century. He was the the Chinese minister in Paris when the South China Sea islands were being seized. And he wrote many long memoranda in French, which I've been able to read and which are in the archive. Wow. All of the heart of the book is a reproduction of archives.